In this episode of Woodnote Studio, I'm going to show you the Grizzly 10-inch drum sander. The model number is G0176. I'm going to show you how to put the sandpaper on the drum. I'm going to go over a couple little features that this has, and I'm going to show you how to use it. It's a pretty simple, straightforward machine. It looks pretty well built, and it's a very heavy. I couldn't lift this one on my own, but thankfully it has some wheels on it and I can move it around in my mobile shop. But this is a new tool for me, not new to the industry, but I figured I would give a review on it, tips that I figure out along the way, and maybe I could teach somebody something that they don't already know. And if not, leave me a comment and teach me something that I don't know. That'd be great. All right, let's get through this. All right, first thing we need to do is there is a pin here to hold the hood down that you can unscrew with your fingers, and then this pops open. Now we have our drum here. In here you'll see that there's a spring clip, and basically there's teeth in here that you're going to feed the paper inside of this, and when you let this go, that's going to hold it on. To cut the top of your piece, you want to bring this at the very front corner. You want a nice straight metal flat edge. You're going to bring this your corner up here, okay? And if you put the edge of your ruler right on the tip there so that they match each other, according to the diagram, you want to make an angled slice all the way down so that that angle is 15 3/4 of an inch. But you right along the edge of your ruler, you should get a nice, easy, clean cut. And there you go. All right. The great thing about this is that because it's sandpaper, your ruler doesn't slip. Now, I know we're losing the top 2.5 inches on this. However, because this is a 10-foot roll, you need to cut the other half at an angle so that you can get 2 sections out of this. So I'm going to measure out 65.5 inches so that I know where the other end of this is supposed to be. Now I made my mark here at 65.5 so that I know the other tip of that is here. And again, we're going to make our 15 3/4 inch cut. There we go. And now I got my roll. Now I'm going to discard the top 2.5 inches and the bottom 2.5 inches. This way, when you feed it into your clamp on the drum, it has enough meat to hook onto. Okay. All right, now we're ready to install it. You want to get your finger in here, okay? To open up your clamp. All right. Okay, now the part that took me a little bit is right here. There's 2 clamps. This piece goes up, and then there's another clamp that opens up the jaws for the paper to feed into. You feed it into there, and as you let it go, it pulls this nice and tight. Next, I want to adjust the conveyor belt. I take a 10mm wrench and Phillips head screwdriver to loosen the rollers and then center the conveyor belt. After I tighten everything back up, I use a Sharpie to make sure I can see it stays where I want it. If it drifts, I can make adjustments one side or the other. to prevent that drifting and off-centering. The next thing I want to do after getting the conveyor belt centered on the track and tensioned up is I want to make sure the drum is level across the conveyor belt itself. So you don't adjust the drum. What you do is you take your measurement and you adjust your conveyor belt platform up on either side on what it needs to be. So I'm taking my square and I'm going to fit it under where my conveyor belt is so that it's just touching over on the far side. Then when I come over here, I see that over on my close end over to this side, there's quite a bit distance between that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew these two bolts here on this side, and I'm going to take two washers. You can use any kind of metal shims that you have, but if it's low on this end, you want to raise it up a little bit. If it's low on the other end, there's two identical bolts just like this that you unscrew, you lift it up, you put a shim under, and it raises it up. So let's do that, take a measurement, and we might have this all tuned up. One way you can figure out how much you need to lift it is by placing the washer or shim between what you're measuring it with and the drum. This way you know that it will be exactly the same distance that you need. Also be sure not to over tighten these bolts. You don't need to crank down on these. They don't need to be super tight. They just need to be nice and snug and firm. Now there's two rollers on both sides of the drum that push the piece down onto the conveyor belt. The pressure is adjustable by these screws right here. So you can increase the tension that's pressing down on the belt or decrease it depending on what you need, or if it's slipping or if it's leaving any kind of snipe. These can be adjusted by that. Okay, it's all tuned up and ready to go. Let's see how I did. I have my producer here to show me how it works. Once you feed the wood into it, you can just let go and watch the magic happen. Now the way I adjust the height of the drum is once I make contact with the wood, I lower the drum by a quarter turn and then feed it through twice, rotating it 180 degrees to make sure it gets an even sanding. I have 100 grit sandpaper on here at the moment. And don't forget to loosen the elevation lock knob before adjusting the drum height.
No pencil mark. What? No pencil.
Well, we sure had fun tuning this up, and I hope this helps someone out there. Please remember to like and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.